Welcome everybody to the 6th episode of Running Denver. We're so excited to have you here, and I'm here with the beautiful Melissa Mincic, who is our co-host. So I'm excited, instead of listening to my voice all the time and seeing my ugly mud, we've got the beautiful and talented Melissa here.
Stop it.
So I'm going to make you blush already on your very first show.
Stop it.
But so Melissa, welcome very much.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
And we're very excited to have you co-hosting the show with us and being one of our co-hosts for the show. And additionally, tell people a little bit about you, and congratulations because you completed another Pikes Peak Marathon this weekend.
I did. Native Colorado, just so happy to be here. I've been in Denver for about 5 years. Love it, absolutely love it. Have very recently gotten into ultra running, but have been a runner for many years, and so this is a natural fit to be on Running Denver. And it's just great to be here. I did just finish my 3rd Pikes Peak Marathon. Very excited about that. It's probably my favorite race, and just looking forward to a couple more ultras coming up.
You know what I love about Colorado is the fact that what do we do for fun? Some people actually mountaineer up those mountains. What do? We run up them. So you ran up 3 times. You've gone up
3 times.
Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, running. You have to use finger quotes at times because I'm not superhuman, so it's not possible at this point for me to run all the way up there, but maybe one of these days.
Which is actually a great segue because we have a fantastic show.
We do. We have a great show coming up. We got review preview. So of course we're going to be talking about the Pikes Peak Ascent Marathon just a little bit, as well as some other amazing events that have been taking place the past couple weeks. We'll look at what's coming up. We are also going to be talking with Marshall Ulrich, who, if you are not familiar, is someone to know. He's an amazing ultra runner. He's done some really crazy sports and some amazing things that will make you drop your jaw. It's going to be really cool. And then we're going to head over to the Runners Roost Lakewood location to learn about some fall running gear.
Awesome. Well, as we're always shooting at a great location around Denver. We're at a beautiful spot here, and the history here is, I guarantee, is stuff that will dumbfound you, that you absolutely did not know about at all. So here's a little hint. This place, and this is a difficult hint, so you might need to Google this, was the location of one of the very first amusement parks west of the Mississippi in the late 1800s. And this particular lake that exists in Denver did not exist in the late 1800s either. So, have you figured it out? Stay tuned. We'll be right back to let you know.
Greatness. It's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars, and the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Running Denver. I'm Lonnie Summers here with
Melissa Mincic.
And we're very excited to have you. Did you figure out where we're at? I gave you guys some really tough clues. We're at beautiful Sloan's Lake, just east of downtown Denver. This has an extremely fascinating history. I didn't know this, but this lake did not exist 200 years ago. It was kind of came around in the late 1860s. Way I understand it is the history behind it. They're not really sure how it was actually created, but they believe that the gentleman that owned this land, he actually got a land bequest from Andrew Jackson, the president, gave him the land. He was farming on it, and he went away for a couple years. They believe that the myth is that he was digging for a well and hit an aquifer, and it actually caused the area to flood, and that's what actually fed the lake. So then after that, it actually became an amusement park and area called Manhattan Beach. It was the only amusement park west of the Mississippi, and it was a beach that many people frequented and played around. So I don't think many people ever knew that at all. I certainly did not, and I grew up in Colorado.
Absolutely.
So pretty fascinating stuff that here at Sloan's Lake. In addition to that, all that area burned down in the early 1900s, and now it's become what is Sloan's Lake today. It's a really beautiful area. It's not utilized a lot by a lot of runs because some of the pathways are not that big, but we have such things as the Colfax Marathon that goes through it, the Colorado Symphony 5K, and coming up in a couple of weeks, we have the Broncos Back to Football 7K that actually runs through Sloan's Lake as well. One of the cool things that they have in the summertime is the Dragon Boat Festival. So all these people making these really cool boats out of cardboard and all kinds of stuff, it's all on the water. A lot of great things to do here. It is a great location to come out and run. It's about a little under 3 miles around the lake, but it's gorgeous, great views of the mountains and downtown Denver. So, were you able to figure out where we're at? Hopefully you did. Sloan's Lake, make sure you come check it out. Next up, we're going to have Preview Review.
I'd like to go through a couple of the things that have happened over this past weekend. It was a really big one for us here, and we just have a couple of highlights for you. First up was the Elk Run at Cherokee Castle, a 5K featuring a 400-foot climb to name a king and queen of the mountain. We had Savannah Dalton finishing first female at 23:30, and Cordy Wilkins, both high school runners, at 22:17 to take their first spots. Next up, we had the Race for Research, one of the Colorado Runner Magazine series races. For the males, the top finishers were Jay Luna in 16:20, Matt Thompson in second place, and Andy Riney in third. For the females, Casey Jongward took the throne at 20:45. Brianna Hoffman came in second, a 10-year-old, and 12-year-old Olivia Hinken was third overall for the females. Next up is an event that's very near and dear to my own heart, the Pikes Peak Ascent and Marathon. This past weekend marked the 60th running of the event, and it was a big one. It was a very exciting weekend for all of us. As far as the ascent goes, the top 3 men were first Teru Miyahara in an amazing time of 2:15. That's a really good effort. Andy Wacker, a local, came in second, and Tim Parr was third. For the females, Queen of the Mountain, Kim Dobson, current record holder of the event, was first with the 2:40. She's also a 4-time champ of the event. Brandy Earnholtz, previous winner as well, came in at 2:51 for second place, and Sophia Torres finished third with a time of 3:03 to make it to the summit. For the Pikes Peak Marathon, the next day was also a very exciting day. First up for the men was Alex Nichols in a time of 3 hours and 46 minutes, followed by Abu Dariba, 3:54, and Ricky Gates with 3 hours and 55 minutes for the marathon. For the females, Harut Guangol finished in 4:29, Haley Benson was second, and Kim Dobson, Queen of the Ascent, with her first double, finished with 4:47 to take third. That's a couple of things that went on this past weekend. So let's take a look at what's coming up. This next weekend is the Leadville 100-mile foot race in Leadville, Colorado on August 22nd. On August 29th, the following weekend, we have the Ryan Elementary Hawk Hustle 5K, supporting local schools in Westminster, Colorado. And then also, Labor Day weekend, September 6th, the Broncos Back to Football 7K, featuring a 7K race that will take you through the stadium, up through Sloan's Lake, and then also ending in the Broncos Stadium at the 50-yard line. You'll get a chance to see some players and just have a great time. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about what's coming up, please come see us at runningdenver.com.
We have an amazing human interest story coming up next, and I'm very excited to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Marshall Ulrich. If you don't know anything about him, you're going to be amazed, and he definitely does not get the notoriety that he certainly deserves. This guy is probably one of the most extreme sports people on the planet. One of the most humble as well, and believes that anybody can do what he's done, but I guarantee you, you can't. I hope that we can all take away what he does do and inspire you to do things. This is somebody that's run Badwater, has completed it 20 times, Badwater Ultra Marathon, which is 135 miles now. It used to be 146. He doesn't shorten it, he still does the extra miles and adds it in on his own. It starts in Death Valley at 200 and some feet below sea level up to Mount Whitney, which is over 14,500 feet. Temperatures, it's always done the hottest time of the year. Temperatures can exceed 128, 130 degrees, which is incredible to think about being in that. But outside of that, he's was one of the pioneers in eco-adventure racing, as well as he circumvented the Death Valley. Can you believe that? Circumvented 425 miles of Death Valley in the hottest time during the year. He's climbed every peak in the 7 continents and amazing other type of things that he's going to talk about. So please welcome our great friend Marshall Ulrich.
Okay, my name's Marshall Ulrich, and I'm an ultra runner. I've done some mountaineering, the 7 summits, which is Everest, and the other mountains, highest mountains on each continent, as well as an adventure racer. I've done some of that. I did all of the 9 eco challenges, which are the precursor, say, to Survivor. But my main focus is ultra running, and I've done probably about 127, 128 ultras that average over 125 miles each. So I got into the eco challenges back in 1995. I just had some guys just cold call me from here in Denver, and we put together a team. It was called Team Mile High, and I knew nothing about adventure racing, but what it is multi-sport, where you do paddling, climbing, mountain biking, running, all sorts of things. And it sounded intriguing to me, and so I decided to go out and do the first eco challenge in 1995. So it was just totally spontaneous, if you will, that I got into that sport. I was into the ultra running, and went into the adventure racing, and then got into the sport of mountain climbing. So, it was a progression really of sports, and I found that I liked the diversity of doing something else other than just ultra running. And of course, the ultra running provided a good base for me to spring from. So, you can use, if you can do ultra running, you can do just about anything. It's just fine-tuning skills, paddling skills, climbing skills, whatever. So that's how I got into that, and diversified into other sports. So Badwater is a race out in Death Valley. The original race is 146 miles. They have shortened it where it ends at the portals because you can't go into the wilderness area to the top of Mount Whitney. But recently I completed my 20th, and of those 20, all of them are to the top. So I did the entire 146 miles. So once again, years ago, back in 1990, I remember reading an article in Runners World, and I thought to myself, I've got to go out and do this race. And it's held in July and August, and it goes from the Badwater Basin, which is minus 282 feet, and it goes to the top of Mount Whitney, which is 14,500 feet and change. So normally it can be anywhere from 110 to close to 130 degrees. 128, I think, is the hottest race that I ran. And I sort of made a brand for myself doing that race, and I've won it 4 times. That was back in the 90s, and I just continued to do it. And I think my biggest emphasis is to tell people or show them that they can accomplish more than they think they can, and keep doing it for as long as they can. I'm 64 years old, so obviously I've been doing it quite a while, and I enjoy it. And if I can influence 1 or 2 people along the way, and they are successful and happy with what they're doing as far as running is concerned, then that's what it's all about. So the book Running on Empty is about the main part of it, the meat of it, is about a run that I did from San Francisco to New York. It was 3,063 miles. And I did it in 52 days, so I was averaging just short of 60 miles per day. And then that was a tough thing to do. But that's what the book is about. And then really, when you get down to the basics of it, it's a love story also between my wife and I. She kind of rescued me from the depths of, I don't want to say depression, but one of the reasons I actually started ultra running is to overcome the loss of my first wife. And I was, for a good decade, I was just thrown for a loop, and she sort of helped me out of that. And so really, it's a love story also. I'm writing a new book, and it's called Both Feet on the Ground. That's the working title. It'll probably come out this next spring. And the basis, or the point of that book, is to put your gadgets away, reconnect with nature. And then a lot of people were kind of disappointed. I don't want to say disappointed with my first book, but they requested that I go into some of the other stories that You know, I hadn't told about the adventure racing, say racing in Tibet or Vietnam or Patagonia, and so I'll throw in that little stories, vignettes of where I've been, what I've done, and it's broken down into 4 parts: earth, fire, wind, and air, the elements. And so obviously air, you know, I address Mount Everest, and I go into the journal in Everest, which has never been published, and so I'll touch upon that. Fire, of course, is Death Valley, and so on and so forth. You know, I think one of my biggest achievements is running across the United States. It was very difficult running that 60 miles per day, and the hardest thing was mentally. Every day I'd get up and I'd think to myself, I've got to go out and get out the door and run 60 miles today, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. So it was really a physical and a mental game. I think the most dangerous thing that I did was not climbing Mount Everest, although that was very difficult, but the most dangerous thing that I did was about 3 years ago, along with a buddy, Dave Heckman. Him and I went out a couple of months in advance in May and buried 52 caches around the exterior and the border of Death Valley, and we went around the circumference of Death Valley, which is 425 degrees, in July and August, and did the first circumnavigation of Death Valley, and it was super hot. We relied on the caches where we buried water, so we were totally self-sufficient. We didn't know if we could pull it off, but we did. But that was certainly the most dangerous, and in fact, climbing out of the Saline Valley, we went up 1.5 miles and 5,000 feet, and we ran out of water, and we still had about 5 or 6 miles to go, and I almost bought it there. I was very drowsy, drifting in and out of consciousness, and you know, it was one of those things that I wouldn't recommend it to everybody to do. Well, what's next for me? I may be out in Death Valley still. But I think I'm going to be out there on a limited basis, you know, 20 times of doing the Badwater Ultra Marathon, and then another 7 crossings in one way or another, one fashion or another. I think that's enough. I'm going to get more into the winter sports, and I think the ultimate goal for me is to finish races and qualify to do the entire 1,000-mile Iditarod course on foot pulling a sled, and it's called the Iditarod. So, you know, that'll be the next challenge, and I'll probably build up to that in the next couple of years, and just a change of scenery, if you will. Well, I think if I were to offer advice to somebody who's out there doing any sort of a challenge physically, is to listen to their body. It will tell you what it needs to eat. It will tell you when it needs to rest. It will tell you when you're injured. And I think if you're smart about it, you won't push the limits. You know, you won't do anything really silly or stupid. That you'll actually listen to your body. It will tell you everything you need to know, and it's just fine-tuning and just intuitively tuning into what it is you need to learn to accomplish what it is you want to do. Well, they can go on my website. It's just my name. It's www.marshallulrich.com. And you know, they can pick up on the books and just see what I'm doing. I don't do a lot of blogging, but of course they can look up my name on Facebook also. It's just, you know, Marshall Ulrich, and you know, from it'll probably pop up as Denver, Colorado, and that's a good way to follow me. I do post on there fairly frequently.
Wow, I'm sure you agree with me that that was amazing. The legend Marshall Ulrich, such an honor to meet him. I would just love to say that I could do anything that would parallel any of that someday. So thank you so much, Marshall, for being here. Next up, we're gonna head over to Runners Roost and learn about some fall running gear, some good stuff to get you started. So let's go.
This is Joel Hamilton here with Runners Roost Lakewood. I am manager, and we're gonna do a little fall running 101 talk for you today. We'll start with some apparel. So Colorado, fall, it's a great time to get outside and enjoy some roads, some trails, but it's also a time of year where we get a lot of variance in weather, conditions, that sort of thing. So we're gonna go through some basics here to make sure you're prepared and that your experience is enjoyable. Number one rule with apparel, stay away from cotton. Cotton, it's going to lose its shape really easily. It's going to hold moisture against the body. That combination creates a pretty unpleasant experience, chafing, rubbing, those sorts of things. So a lot of really cool base layer pieces out there. You want to make sure it's synthetic, so polyester, nylons, sometimes some wool blends can be really good this time of year. Wool has a little bit higher heat retention properties, so for some of those cooler days, if you have a wool base layer, that can be a good option. But yeah, biggest thing, something that's nice, technical, kind of fits against the skin. It's going to wick moisture away from the body, and just create a little bit more enjoyable experience. For hotter days, August, early part of September, the temperatures can still be pretty warm. So t-shirts, shorts, those sorts of things are really good options. As it starts to cool off, you can start to add either long sleeve option, so a little bit warmer. You've also got some cool accessories, arm sleeves. So these are a great addition to t-shirt. If you're getting out early in the morning where you might be experiencing some temperature changes, you can throw these on when it's a little bit cooler, take them off as it starts to get a little bit warmer. For the ladies, we do really well with capris this time of year. Again, for days where it might be a little bit cooler to start the morning off with, capri options are a great way to give yourself a little bit extra warmth but not overheat. Another good essential this time of year is a nice, really lightweight packable jacket. Something like this from Salomon packs down super small, so if you start your run out and conditions are pretty good, you can have this stowed in a pocket or in a waist pack, something like that. But when temperatures start to drop, or some weather moves in, if you're out on the trails, you can pull it out and be nice and protected. But you can see that gets pretty dang tiny. Like I said, fits really nicely in the back of a pocket or something like that. Another part of this time of year, like we said, is those hotter temperatures. If you're out for long runs or getting out and exploring some of the trails up in the mountains, you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated, staying fueled up. So there's a few ways you can go about carrying those sorts of items. You've got handhelds. This is my preference. I don't like having stuff around my waist, so with a handheld you can stick quite a few gels or some chews, phone, cards, stuff like that. You can also carry 20 ounces of water in this, so you don't have to worry about stuff moving around on your waist. For those of you that don't like having stuff in your hands, we do very well with belts as well. So again, a hydration belt, you can carry 20 to 30 ounces of water or fluids with you. Carry all your essentials as well. Gels, phone, this jacket that we were talking about earlier would fit really nicely in the pocket here. So just a really easy way to carry your fluids with you so you can get out and get a little bit further and enjoy the trails a little bit more. Another option, if you're sticking to the roads a little bit more, if you have access to water and you don't need to carry it with you, but you still need to carry some essentials, there's some other cool accessories that can make your life a little bit easier. Flip belts, this is actually a kind of cool company that started out of Broomfield. Nice stow pockets to stick some gels, some keys, those essentials that you're gonna need with you out there on the race course or out on your long runs. Mornings are starting a little bit later, evenings are coming a little bit earlier as well. So with that, if you're somebody who still needs to get out early in the morning or maybe a little bit later in the evening, want to make sure you're staying safe. So number one thing with that is make sure that you can be seen. Something like this you can just clip onto your back. That way if you're running on the side of the road, the sun's not up yet or it's already down, those motorists have a chance to see you. You can also flash. Reflective vests, another lightweight, super easy option to throw over top of whatever you're wearing. Just increases visibility. You've got some really highly reflective 3M material here. If you're somebody that likes to get out on the trails, or maybe you're sticking to sidewalks where there's not a lot of overhead light, headlamps are another essential that just literally will light the way for you. A lot of really cool options. A lot of these headlamps are getting reactive, so they'll get brighter or darker depending on the light conditions around it. Some of these guys have rechargeable batteries now, so you're not burning through 20 AAA batteries in a marathon training session. If you're somebody that has not had a chance to get out and enjoy a trail when the leaves are changing, got to get out and do it. A necessary product for getting out and enjoying the trails is a good trail shoe. Trail shoes are going to offer you a little bit more protection underneath the foot. You're going to get a little bit more aggressive tread for better traction if you're starting to get on some steeper slopes or some more uneven terrain, that extra tread will definitely help keep you upright, and you'll be thankful for it later on. Runners Roost Lakewood, being one of the closest stores to the Front Range, has a very, very big selection of trail shoes, but definitely suggest getting out and checking those guys out. Come visit us at Runners Roost Lakewood. Our staff, years and years of experience. You know, we know the product, we know the sport. We'll definitely be able to get you set up in anything that you need, footwear, apparel. We also have an awesome, return exchange policy. We understand that part of finding you the right product is you actually getting out and trying it yourself. So we have a 30-day exchange policy on all of our footwear. Gives you an opportunity to try the product, like I said, really discover whether or not it's going to work for you. But yeah, come in, see us. We'll make sure that your fall is one to remember.
Hey, welcome back everybody to Running Denver TV. Thanks to Runners Roost Lakewood for going over our what you should wear during the fall 101. Great stuff. Also some trail stuff. Actually, during the fall time, it is a beautiful time to run. Temperatures can be a little bit cooler, but we've got such a beautiful state with the changing leaves.
Always.
It's a very cool, very inspirational time to go run, and we've had a very inspirational show today. Make sure you come by to Runners Roost Lakewood. They'll get you set up with all your gear that you need for fall. And so, Melissa.
Yes.
Take
Thanks
us on
for
out.
having me. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much. We'll see you the next show. Hope you enjoyed it. And in the meantime, come visit us at runningdenvertv.com.
Till next time, we'll see you.